नमस्कार, आप सभी का स्वागत है। मैं हूं राहुल और आप देख रहे हैं eVidya चैनल्स और NCERT का ऑफिशियल यूट्यूब चैनल। We bring you the live telecast of teaching learning interventions for inclusive classroom for class 8th, and we are going to discuss in this session. It's a very interesting chapter number 7 of English, a visit to Cambridge. So you can also be a part of this live interactive session, that is 8800440559 is the number. With the help of it you can call us and directly connect with us. If you have any questions or queries, do call us. You can watch on the screen that Nirbhay is with me. Nirbhay, namaskar and a very warm welcome. Nirbhay will interpret the entire session in the sign language. So would like to begin this session with the message of G20. We are proud that India assumed the G20 presidency and will convene the G20 Leader Summit for the first time in the country in 2023. A nation deeply committed to the democracy and multilateralism, India's G20 presidency would be a watershed moment in the history as it seeks to play an important role by finding the pragmatic global solutions for the well-being of all, and in doing so manifest the true spirit of Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, or the world is one family. So with this message I would like to begin the session. Let me introduce our guest, our expert in today's English session. Miss Divya Gupta is here with us in the studio. Namaskar and a very warm welcome. She is the mentor teacher in the Department of Education, Delhi. So welcome you here in this session, and I'm very excited that what kind of journey it is. What is this lesson all about?
All right. So why don't we, the lesson is called A Visit to Cambridge. Why don't we start by asking you, what do you understand from Cambridge?
Oh my God. If I am right, as far as my knowledge, Cambridge is a place, and I think I can give you a hint. Cambridge is very famous in the field of education.
Oh, very well done. So Cambridge is, yes, one of the most reputed universities in the world. This lesson is also about one man's journey to Cambridge, Cambridge the town, and then meeting one of the greatest scientists and astrophysicists of our time, Dr. Stephen Hawking. So this is what the story is about. We are going to discuss it in detail. Let us look at it first.
Okay.
So do you know what or where Cambridge is? It's a town in England. It is true that Cambridge is a university, but the university has made the town so famous that now people forget that there's a town called Cambridge. They only know a university.
Right.
But what we are going to do is today we are going to look at Cambridge, the town, in the world map.
Okay. Okay, so this is the map.
So this is the map. We in India, we are 7,672 kilometers apart, and it takes almost 9 hours of air travel to reach London from India. The two locations that you see, one of them is India and the other is United Kingdom, where Cambridge is situated, right?
Okay.
Here you will also see a map that I have brought with me.
Okay. So we can see, okay, this is the map.
Yes. So the two locations that you can see, what you can do is you can, make this map tactile by using, rice grains or pulses, and that's how you can make it tactile, and you can learn that this is where our country is, where you and I are today.
Okay.
And this is all the way to UK, where Stephen Hawking lives, and where Cambridge is located.
So the blue line denotes the airway from India to England,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So I think at home, if we talk about, jugaad, we can say in India, so we can use rice, to make the way.
You can use rice grains, or you can use pulses. Or you can draw it with the help of colored pens. Mark
the location icon and the flyway, so that the students may come to know with the tactile map that where the India is and where the Cambridge, right?
You can also use board pins and tie threads to them, so that also you can do. There are various ways of doing it, of making it tactile and learning. Yes.
Okay.
So this is where Cambridge is.
Okay.
Moving on. Now this town called Cambridge is best known, like I just told you, for one of the most reputed universities in the world, the University of Cambridge. And what you see on your screen right now is a photograph of this university. Doesn't it look like a palace, like a majestic palace?
Yes, it's a very famous picture, and I can say this is the landscape.
It is.
I think is the very pleasant view for all the students, you know, those who are admirer of this university and those who have the dream to be there.
Oh, I wish to go myself. Let us move on.
Okay.
All right. So today we are going to read an excerpt from a book. The idea of an excerpt is it's a small part from a big book.
Okay.
You read it and you become so motivated by it that you feel like reading the entire book. So that is why excerpts are chosen and added in curriculum. The name of this book is Heaven on Wheels, and it is a travelogue.
Wow. Earlier I had only idea the Palace on Wheels.
All right. Yes, now you have Heaven on Wheels, you know about it. A travelogue is something that we write as we travel, as the name suggests. So when you document your journey, you know, it could be by drawing, it could be by writing a diary, it could be by collecting photographs. Whichever way you want to document your travel, it becomes a travelogue.
Okay.
Now this book was written by a man called Firdaus Kanga.
Okay.
And today we are reading a bit from it. This lesson, A Visit to Cambridge, is the story of a meeting between two extraordinary people, Firdaus Kanga and Dr. Stephen Hawking, both disabled or differently abled. Have you heard the term differently abled before? I first want to ask all our viewers today, क्या आपने पहले सुना है differently abled या disabled होना क्या होता है, differently abled होना क्या होता है? My question, I have a question for all of you. If A can speak Hindi, B knows Tamil, C can read Braille and D knows sign language, aren't they all differently abled? तो इस तरह हम सभी differently abled हैं, है ना राहुल जी?
Right.
तो हम सभी की एबिलिटीज अलग अलग हैं और इसीलिए डिफरेंटली एबल्ड होना, कमतर होना, लेसर दैन होना नहीं है, बिकॉज ऑल ऑफ अस आर डिफरेंट एंड वी कैन सक्सीड एट डिफरेंट थिंग्स. एंड दिस इज द मैसेज ऑफ द स्टोरी, दिस लेसन.
Okay, so let's move ahead. Okay, so this is the writer.
This is the writer. This is Firdaus Kanga.
Okay.
Now, throughout his life, Firdaus Kanga used a wheelchair because he was born with a brittle bone disease, which means his bones tended to break easily.
It means bones are very weak.
Very weak, very brittle. You know, they break easily.
Okay.
And he was born with this disease. So even, you know, while doing very menial, very everyday tasks like walking would cause fractures.
Oh my
so
God.
that's what happens, and that is why he was you know, restricted to a wheelchair all his life. However, the great thing is that he did not let this disease stop him from achieving greatness.
Right.
He became a successful writer, journalist and an actor also, who right now lives in London.
Okay.
So he has had a lot of credential to his life that way.
So we can say that these two heroes of this session, if we talk about, the one similarity is there, both are on the wheelchairs, right?
They are, yes, yes.
I must call them as hero because
they
we are talking
heroes.
about and we are, you know, reading about them. It means they have achieved something special in their entire life.
Absolutely.
Okay.
डॉक्टर स्टीफन हॉकिंग का नाम तो सभी ने सुना है कि वो हमारी सदी के ग्रेटेस्ट एस्ट्रोफिजिसिस्ट हैं, एवरीबडी नोज दैट.
राइट.
लेकिन वो भी जब 21 साल के थे तो ही वाज डायग्नोज्ड विद अ मोटर न्यूरॉन डिजीज कॉल्ड ALS.
ओके.
नाउ ALS में ये होता है, इट्स अ degenerative disease. Like I said, it's a motor neuron disease. It's a brain related disease. Your brain stops receiving messages, stops sending messages to the rest of your body, and gradually your entire body becomes paralyzed.
Okay.
Since 1970, Dr. Hawking was completely paralyzed.
Oh my God.
Which is a very difficult, physically a very difficult position to be in. But in spite of that, we all know how much he has achieved. Now, another very significant thing that we need to know about this is, usually this disease kills anybody that it afflicts within 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
But Dr. Hawkins managed to survive with this incurable disease for 55 years. 55 years, incredible indeed. I would request our viewers to look at the next slide. We can see him in his wheelchair here. So, you know, Dr. Hawkins himself also says this, and I've read this in many places about him, that medicine was not advanced enough to cure his disease, and ALS has been known to be incurable even today. But what he did was, he understood that medicine will not be able to help him, so he took the support of advanced science to keep himself mobile, and later communicative also. When he could not even speak, he took the help of science. Now, this was possible through his state-of-the-art motorized wheelchair that took him places and later even predicted words with the movement of just one cheek muscle. उनका सिर्फ एक cheek muscle में function बाकी था और उसी के through वो messages भेजते थे अपने wheelchair से related से connected synthesizer को, and that used to speak for him. So he used it to not just move. His wheelchair was not just a you know, chair on wheels. It was a very complicated computer. So it helped him you know, communicate with people, say his thoughts to people. So that was.
So it means the wheelchair of Firdaus and wheelchair of Dr. Hawkins are totally different.
Oh yes, very, very different.
Okay, so what kind of difference? Because it says state-of-the-art motorized wheelchair.
Okay, actually that's a great question, because I have a slide also about it. I think it's the next one only. Let's look. Yeah. So here we see two photographs on the screen. The first one is a regular manual wheelchair. It is literally that, you know, it's simply that, a chair on wheels. You know, जो लोग चल नहीं सकते, जिनको चलने में प्रॉब्लम है, वो इस व्हीलचेयर का इस्तेमाल करते हैं. हमारे आसपास भी हमने देखा है. लेकिन दूसरे पिक्चर में हमारे स्टूडेंट्स के लिए हमने दिखाया है, ये डॉक्टर हॉकिंग का व्हीलचेयर है. नाउ दिस इज अ स्टेट ऑफ द आर्ट, customized to his needs, motorized wheelchair that allowed him so much more than mere mobility. So in this chair he could not only move, he could do a lot of things. As you can see in the picture, you know, different parts of his wheelchair are also labeled here. There is a tablet computer, there is a 12-inch display, there is an infrared sensor, you know, that could take messages from his glasses and read for him. There is a speech synthesizer, then there is a peripheral box at the, you know, bottom. So lots of things, you know, like I said, his wheelchair was not just a chair on wheels, but it was a very complicated computer that helped him achieve everything that he was able to.
It was a customized solution for all his needs, we can say.
True.
Right. So, can we move ahead? So, these are the parts of the book on which we are going to discuss this journey of the writer?
Correct.
All right.
So, the way our story begins is now Firdaus Kanga is on a tour of the university campus when the tour guide mentioned Dr. Hawking. And that is when Kanga realized that Dr. Hawking was so close to him, you know, that physically he was so close, you know, in the vicinity of him, and he decided to meet him. So he immediately, you know, called his house and requested an appointment, even if for 10 minutes, you know, he said, अगर 10 मिनट भी मुझे उनके साथ मिल जाए तो बहुत बड़ी बात होगी. लेकिन डॉक्टर हॉकिंग के जो असिस्टेंट थे, उन्होंने बहुत ग्रेसफुली उनको हाफ एन आवर ग्रांट किया डॉक्टर हॉकिंग के साथ. सो अच्छा, यहाँ पे मैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स का ध्यान एक बात पे ले जाना चाहती हूँ कि यहाँ पे कैंगा ने डायरेक्टली डॉक्टर हॉकिंग को विजिट नहीं किया, उन्होंने पहले अपॉइंटमेंट लिया. तो अपॉइंटमेंट क्या होता है, क्या आप लोगों को मालूम है, सुना है आपने पहले?
Yes, I think generally we listen about the appointment from doctor.
That's correct. So appointment हम डॉक्टर से लेते हैं या फिर किसी भी ऐसे व्यक्ति से लेते हैं, अगर आपको प्रधानमंत्री से मिलना है, जिससे मिलना है, या प्रेसिडेंट से मिलना है, तो आपको अपॉइंटमेंट लेना होगा। कहीं भी जहाँ फॉर्मल मीटिंग होती है तो आपको अपॉइंटमेंट लेना होता है। When you visit your friends or relatives, we don't take an appointment. But when we make a formal visit, we have to take an appointment, which means they tell us what time we can appear and for how long.
Right. But informally nowadays we should message to the friends and the visitors and call them that we are coming.
Correct.
So it's an appointment which is fixed.
Yes, that's an informal sort of an information that I will be visiting your house. Yes.
Okay.
So Kanga gets himself an appointment and he goes to visit Dr. Stephen Hawking, and then an interview between the two happens. Kanga tells Dr. Stephen Hawking that when you grow up disabled, this I think is one of the most powerful statements that Kanga makes here.
Okay.
He says that when you grow up disabled, लोग हमेशा आपको ये कहते हैं कि बहादुर बनो, हिम्मत मत हारो, और ये वो लोग होते हैं अक्सर जो कि आपकी सिचुएशन को देख तो रहे होते हैं लेकिन एक्सपीरियंस नहीं कर रहे होते हैं। These are usually able-bodied people, and वो हमेशा बोल रहे हैं बी ब्रेव। लेकिन ब्रेवरी कोई ऐसी चीज नहीं है कि कोई चेक है जो आप कैश करा लेंगे। कांगा ये बोलते हैं, और वो कहते हैं जो एक्चुअली मोटिवेटिंग बात होती है वो होता है अपने ही जैसे किसी इंसान को बहुत कुछ अचीव करते हुए देखना। तो उनके लिए उनके सारे फ्रेंड्स या सारे रिलेटिव्स का मिलके ये कहना एक तरफ है कि हिम्मत मत हारो, बहादुर बनो, जिंदगी से लड़ो एंड ऑल दैट, और दूसरी तरफ स्टीफन हॉकिंग को इतना कुछ अचीव करते हुए देखना, दैट अफेक्ट्स हिम मच मच मोर,
तो ये सारी बातें जो है वो जो राइटर हैं वो डॉक्टर हॉकिंग से कह रहे हैं।
जी, वो उनसे बात कर रहे हैं। और वो बता रहे हैं कि कैसे स्टीफन हॉकिंग ने उनको बहुत बहुत मोटिवेट किया है, बहुत एनकरेज किया है। आगे बात होती है और वो पूछते हैं उनसे कि क्या आपको ऐसा लगता है कि डिसेबल्ड लोग जो होते हैं वो लोग ऐसा मानते हैं कि वो क्रॉनिकली अनहैप्पी होते हैं, हमेशा ही दुखी रहते हैं। तो स्टीफन हॉकिंग इस बात पे थोड़ा सा स्माइल करते हैं और वो कहते हैं कि मुझे ये लोग बहुत ही अम्यूजिंग लगते हैं, बहुत ही रिडिक्यूलस लगता है मुझे कि लोग ये बात ये अज्यूम कर लेते हैं कि क्योंकि हम फिजिकली किसी तरह से डिसेबल्ड हैं या डिफरेंटली एबल्ड हैं तो हम हमेशा सैड ही रहेंगे। ऐसा नहीं होता है, ऑफ कोर्स हम हैप्पी होते हैं। इनफैक्ट स्टीफन हॉकिंग का खुद का बहुत अच्छा सेंस ऑफ ह्यूमर है। कांगा उनसे पूछते हैं कि क्या मैंने आपको अपने इस विजिट से डिस्टर्ब तो नहीं किया, और वो कहते हैं हाँ ऑफ कोर्स डिस्टर्ब किया। सो ही हैज अ वेरी peppy sense of humor.
Okay.
Then Kanga also asks him what is the best thing about, now this is the most important thing that Hawking says in this lesson, I think. What is the best thing about being disabled? Kanga asked Hawking.
Wow.
And Hawking said there is no good in it. ऐसा नहीं है कि differently abled होने में या अपनी बॉडी से किसी भी तरह लिमिटेड होने में कोई बहुत अच्छी बात है, हम ऐसा नहीं कह रहे हैं। लेकिन वो बहुत अच्छी एडवाइस देते हैं सभी डिफरेंटली एबल लोगों के लिए। वो कहते हैं कि उनको उन चीज़ों पे कॉन्सेंट्रेट करना चाहिए जिस पे वो अच्छे हैं। सो इफ़ यू आर गुड एट मैथमेटिक्स and you are living in a wheelchair, that is perfectly all right. Just focus on mathematics and achieve the greatest things that you can.
Right.
Olympics, which are meant for disabled people, are a waste of time, he says.
Okay.
So trying to play football like able-bodied people in a wheelchair, he says that's a waste of time. Differently able people should do exactly what they are good at. They should concentrate on what they are excellent at.
Agreed.
So I think that's a very good, a very important message.
I think he talked about his core strength.
Yes.
And tells everybody to keep it in your mind.
Yes.
And focus on the same.
True.
Okay. So moving ahead, and as we are discussing this wonderful chapter, so what it is, but the thing is, the question arises here when two people met, those who are similar, those who are disabled, we can say, but both the personalities are very impressive.
Yes.
Maybe to each other, or maybe one more impressive. So what was the effect after the meeting on the writer?
All right. That is what the next slide is going to tell you, but if you want I can read it for you. Please, first and then. So half an hour later, this half an hour was granted to Kanga by Stephen Hawking's assistant. So half an hour का interview जब खत्म हो जाता है, and Kanga says, "Okay, I will take your leave now." Very graciously, Stephen Hawking asks him to stop and have tea with him, and he says, "Come, I will show you my garden."
Okay.
So they go out to the garden. Now, because of the glare of the sun, the letters on the screen are not clear, and Stephen can't speak anything. His speech synthesizer cannot say anything.
Okay.
But Kanga was very, very obviously overwhelmed by this extraordinary meeting, you know, and this extraordinary gesture of, you know, hosting him after the interview also. Now, you know, at the end he says that he could not kiss Dr. Hawking goodbye, or he could not cry, but he was feeling very overwhelmed by this meeting.
Okay.
And जो बात उन्होंने पहले भी कही है ना, कि लोग आपको कहते रहते हैं बहादुर बनो, लेकिन आपको असल में प्रेरणा तब मिलती है जब आप अपने ही जैसे किसी व्यक्ति को बहुत कुछ करते हुए देखते हो। तो वो कहते हैं कि जब मैं वहाँ से जा रहा था, तो उनके घर से जाते हुए मैंने अपने ब्रेवेस्ट एम्बॉडीमेंट को देखा, अपने सबसे अच्छे वर्जन को, सबसे सक्सेसफुल वर्जन को मैं देख पाया।
राइट।
और वो वर्जन वो था जिसकी तरफ मैं काफी सालों से बढ़ रहा था, काफी सालों से काम कर रहा था, और उनको ऐसा लगा कि अभी के लिए उनकी जर्नी कंप्लीट हो गई है। सो दिस इज हाउ ही, यू नो, लेफ्ट फीलिंग स्टीफन हॉकिंग्स हाउस।
आई थिंक ये कहा जा सकता है कि जब आप कुछ ज्यादा ही खुश होते हैं तो अपने जो अरमान है, अपनी जो भावनाएं हैं, उन्हें आप शब्दों में बयान नहीं कर सकते। शायद कुछ फिरदौस के साथ ऐसा ही हुआ होगा।
I mean, he was meeting Stephen Hawking.
Yes,
no
so
less.
It was a dream come true to him.
True.
As when he came to know that Dr. Stephen Hawking somewhere near him.
Yes.
So it was very happy moment for him.
Yes.
All right. So what's next for the students in this wonderful and interesting session?
All right. So we have a little clip that is going to show you about the life of Stephen Hawking, and it is going to show you how he spoke also. A lot of our children don't know how he spoke through this speech synthesizer, so I'm just going to show you that.
All right. So let's watch this video, and I think this clip will definitely motivate you in many ways.
I was born on January 8th, 1942, exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo. I had come to Cambridge to do cosmology, and cosmology I was determined to do. At that time, it became clear something was not quite right with me. I fell over and had great difficulty getting up again. I spent weeks in Bart's hospital and had many tests. They never actually told me what was wrong, but I guessed enough to know it was pretty bad. The doctor who diagnosed me washed his hands of me, and I never saw him again. He felt that there was nothing that could be done. At first I became depressed. I seemed to be getting worse pretty rapidly. There didn't seem any point working on my PhD, because I didn't know if I would live long enough to finish it. But then the condition developed more slowly, and I began to make progress in my work. After my expectations had been reduced to zero, every new day became a bonus, and I began to appreciate everything I did have. And there was also a young woman called Jane,
video which
whom I
you
had
just
met at
have
a party.
seen on
Getting
the
engaged lifted my spirits.
screen. I hope it is very interesting to watch his journey and his words. And so Ms. Divya, what's your take on this video?
All right, so the reason why I wanted this video to be shown as part of this presentation, one very important thing is I wanted children to hear his real voice. So that's one thing. Another thing is I would like children who are watching this, I would request you to, you know, go to YouTube and see the rest of this clip, so that you can see how he uses his speech synthesizer, and also how he, you know, what his last message to humanity is. This, you know, this video ends with that.
Okay.
So that is very important. As you might have seen, he says that when my expectations became zero, that is when every new day in my life became a bonus. This is one very big message that we can take from a man who almost lost everything and then rose to such greatness. That even when you lose everything, that's when, instead of saying that I have lost everything now, everything is over, you can now start taking whatever you have like bonus and gaining from there, gaining heights from there. So this is the lesson we can take from him.
Right. So moving ahead and see what's next. So we have reached to the slide where the keywords are mentioned. So I request Nirbhay to please interpret these words in the sign language, and the first word is astrophysicist. And the next is inflection. And the third one is travelogue. Thank you, Nirbhay. So this keywords slide, indicates us that we are at the last part of this session. Moving ahead on the screen, let's watch what's next, because this is the time to get some homework, if I am right.
Actually, we'll do a little bit before that.
Please.
So I would request teachers to share these words in Braille, which are children who study in Braille. And then we would also do the meanings of these keywords very briefly, very quickly I'll do them.
Please.
So an astrophysicist is a scholar of that branch of physics that studies stars, planets and the universe. So this is what Stephen Hawking studied, Dr. Hawking studied, and that is why we call him an astrophysicist. The next word is inflection, and inflection means rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Now when we naturally speak, there is a rise and fall, like you can hear in my voice right now, but when Dr. Hawking spoke, since it was a computer speaking for him, there was no inflection in his voice. As it says in your books, you must have read. And then the third word is travelogue. As we discussed earlier, it's a film, a book or illustrated lecture about the places visited by a traveler or simply documented experiences of a traveler.
Right.
Moving on, we have homework here.
May please read it
so
for the students.
The first question is, I felt a great relief in the possibilities of my body. In the given context, the underlined words refer to, so we have to tell कि जब कैंगा बोल रहे हैं कि possibilities of my body, मुझे बहुत relief feel हुआ in the possibilities of my body, so वो कौन सी possibilities थी जिनके लिए वो relief feel कर रहे हैं? Is he talking about his ability to shift in his wheelchair, shifting in the wheelchair and turning the wrist, or B, standing up and walking, or C, speaking and writing? Which possibilities of his body is he talking about? Then question 2 is, which is the right sentence? Cambridge was my metaphor for England. To the writer, A, Cambridge was a reputed university in England. England was famous for Cambridge, and last, Cambridge was the real England. Which one of these is the right sentence you have to tell?
Okay.
And from here, we will move on to the modified homework.
Okay.
So the modified homework is, question number 1 is, I felt a great relief in the possibilities of my body. Why does Kanga feel this relief today? You have to tell why Kanga is feeling this way. And then all of us have some things that we can feel thankful for in our body itself, you know. So if your legs carry you for the entire day and take you to different places, you can be thankful for that. If your hands can draw beautiful things, you can be thankful for that. If your eyes can show you the world, then you can be thankful for that. If you can listen to songs and enjoy music, you can thank your ears for that. Draw a list of all the possibilities of your body that make you thankful for them. And while drawing this list, remember that Stephen Hawking को अगर हम ये homework देते तो वो क्या लिखते? वो शायद लिखते that I have a I have an intelligent mind and I have a cheek muscle that functions. One cheek muscle that functions.
Right.
So हमारे पास हमेशा कुछ ना कुछ होता है जिसके लिए हम thankful हो सकते हैं.
Right.
तो वो सोचें और उसके बारे में एक लिस्ट बनाएं. Question number 2 है, बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन है. इसके लिए आपको ट्रैवल आप करना चाहें तो कर सकते हैं, नहीं तो आप इमेजिन कर सकते हैं. जैसा कि आपको हमने बताया, ये लेसन एक ट्रैवलॉग का हिस्सा है. तो इमेजिन यू आर ऑन अ ट्रेन जर्नी एंड डॉक्यूमेंट द फॉलोइंग. सो यू हैव टू इमेजिन दैट यू आर ऑन अ ट्रेन जर्नी. पहले अगर आप कभी गए हैं तो आप उसको याद करके लिख सकते हैं. आप लिख सकते हैं कि आप किस डेट को गए थे, आप किस जगह गए थे, डेस्टिनेशन, व्हाट ऑल यू एक्सपीरियंस्ड, आपने क्या क्या एक्सपीरियंस किया, whom you met and how it made you feel. कोशिश कीजिएगा कि how it made you feel को आप सबसे ज्यादा टाइम डिवोट करें, क्योंकि feeling is most important.
Right.
Yeah.
So moving on to the final slide of this presentation, in which the homework submission format. So this is the homework submission format. Name of the student, you may mention your name, school name, class, teacher's name, date of the session, and photograph, which is optional, and use this email ID which is flashed on the screen. So this was the end of this presentation, and I must thank you, Ms. Divya, to bring this chapter, and I must say this is the motivational session for all the students, I must say.
Yes.
एक ऐसा उदाहरण दुनिया के लिए जिनके पास कुछ भी नहीं था और उन्होंने बहुत कुछ अचीव किया, और जैसा आपने कहा कि हमें उनसे यही सीख लेनी चाहिए कि उनके पास क्या था, उन्होंने उस पर फोकस किया, एंड हाउ ही कैन मेक इट बिग. और ये जो है आज, इसको कुछ बताने की ज़रूरत नहीं. सो थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर दिस वंडरफुल सेशन. थैंक यू. निर्भय, आपका भी बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आपने पूरा सेशन हमारा जो है इंटरप्रेट किया इन द साइन लैंग्वेज. एंड आई वुड लाइक टू कंक्लूड दिस सेशन विद द मैसेज ऑफ टेक्स्ट बुक्स व्हिच आई हैव टू शेयर विद यू ऑल. NCERT's textbooks for 2023-2024 are available throughout the country. These textbooks may be purchased directly from NCERT's sales counters located at New Delhi, Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, Kolkata and Guwahati. These sales counters will be functional on all the weekdays, including budgeted holidays, Saturdays and Sundays, from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You may also place order for the books online from our website ncertbooks.ncert.gov.in, and these books will be delivered at your doorstep with no delivery fee. And if you want the soft copy of the books in the PDF version, can also be downloaded for free from NCERT, Diksha and ePathshala website and mobile application. Please visit the website ncert.gov.in to know more about the authorized vendors. So this was the message of textbooks. So now I would like to conclude this session. Stay tuned for our next sessions and keep watching NCERT's official YouTube channel and eVidya channels. Namaskar.